Well, the market's still in red territory. The volumes are quite low actually for an expiry week. Mayuresh Joshi is also with us. Mayuresh, hi, good afternoon. First, a word on two stocks, Power Grid and BHEL. We'll have Power Grid, of course, replacing BHEL in the Sensex, and Power Grid is up 2% right now. Your thoughts on both the stocks?
Afternoon, Anuj. Clearly, I think Power Grid is something that I have liked for a length of time and could continue to do so, more or less with the assumption that the cost optimization that the company is embarking upon will yield good dividends. And again, I think the kind of capitalization that one really expects to come through over the next couple of years is going to be pretty huge. So I think the return ratios are based on whatever they capitalized, and total capex plans as well for FY16, FY17 are close to 22,500 odd crores. So our own estimates for Power Grid are to the tune of a 17% top line growth over the next couple of years, and 19% EBITDA growth, and even at these levels at around 1.6 times price to book, my own take is that with the kind of reforms that we are probably expected to witness in the power segment, Power Grid can do well. So I remain very optimistic on Power Grid. On BHEL, I think clearly the order book has shrunk, and yes, you've seen some amount of respite come through the last few quarters, but meaningfully I think one really needs to see working capital constraints go away. You probably need execution to improve at a much faster pace, and that too on a consistent basis quarter after quarter. And it's the numbers that will do the talking for them. Their cash has dwindled both in terms of retention buying coming through and what happens with the employee benefits going off. I think that will have an offsetting effect in terms of how financials will pan out. So I think margins will remain under constraint unless you see a meaningful recovery in the capex cycle, which I think a lot of analysts on the street are not foreseeing to happen at least for the next couple of quarters. So in my opinion, I think at least for the next couple of quarters, the underperformance of BHEL might continue.
Okay, fine. The underperformance of BHEL will continue. Look at Britannia, by the way, almost 10% gone on that stock now. There's quite a bit of offloading taking place over there. In fact, the numbers are not too bad. I mean, it was decent. The margins have actually picked up for the company, but perhaps the growth has slowed down compared to the scorching pace of the stock movement. So that stock is now down about 9-odd%.
Very expensive stock, Sonia. Yeah, you know, if you pull out a 2-year chart of Britannia, or maybe a 3-year chart from 600 to 3,000, and it was backed by earnings growth, and maybe now it's a bit different. I mean, even after today's fall, of course, that's the 12-month chart. But if you pull out, we can't do it on air right now. But if you see 2-year chart or 3-year chart, it's been a phenomenal mover. So maybe market is adjusting to some realities. Yeah,
and I mean you've seen Britannia see record double-digit revenue growth for the last many quarters. This is the first quarter that they are seeing single-digit revenue growth of just 7%. So I guess that's something that the street is getting adjusted to. Mr. Tulsian, I wanted to discuss the other stock with you that reported very good numbers, Harita Seatings. You had recommended this stock, I remember, many months ago, the TVS Group company, and today it's up almost about 11-odd%. Is this a stock that investors can still buy into?
See, Sonia, if you see the growth, you are right. I gave a buy call at 150 rupees 6 months back in our Surat investor camp. And since then, in fact, maybe in less than 1 year, it has almost quadrupled, or maybe 3 or 4 times the value has gone to 600 rupees or so. But if you see the performance of the company, the kind of growth they've shown. In fact, people, let me first clarify here that if you see the standalone EPS 33 rupees, consolidated EPS 33 rupees, so people may get confused. In fact, it's very sad that the company has printed the advertisement in the newspaper, which they are required to do it, where the EPS has been stated at 33 for standalone and 42 for the consolidated. In fact, that is a wrong publication, having done by the company, and it's very sad that a TVS Group company makes such kind of blunder. So let me just point out here that the EPS is 33 rupees only on a consolidated basis, but because of their 51% subsidiary, which is making PU foam, and that company is reporting a PAT of about 12 crore that has posted a PAT of about 12 crore for the FY16. I'm just referring the subsidiary, and company has drawn or got a dividend of 6.5 crore. So when you work out the standalone numbers, the dividend gets added as other income, but when you consolidate the numbers, that dividend gets adjusted against this. So that is the reason standalone and consolidated EPS are the 33 against 11 rupees what we have seen for FY15. Now naturally this kind of growth, of 200% cannot be expected. I heard the management saying that they are expecting to post a growth of 10%, and that's a very what you call muted guidance what they have been giving. Because if you see the 5149 German subsidiary which the company is holding 51%, even that PU foam, polyurethane foam, has a very good potential going ahead, and that should also keep growing at a 20%. That's number one. Number two, looking to the seating business, the kind of growth which we have been seeing in commercial vehicle, tractors, buses and all that, I hope that company will be able to post an EPS of maybe a growth of maybe about 20 to 24% for FY16. But yes, since the share has risen to a level of 600 rupees, and if you are expecting an EPS of a growth of about 15%, that means you are looking for an EPS of closer to about 37, 38. So considering that, I can say that now at 600 rupees, the stock looks fully priced at the current level, and I won't see a much upside from here on. Yes, you can see the 700 or 720 rupees in next 3 to 6 months, but the volatility will be very much high from here on. So maybe the risk reward may not be in favor of the retail investors, because I won't be surprised to see the share correcting to a level of 540, 550 as well, and that kind of volatility may not be faced by the retail traders. So I would say that looking to the current price of 600, I would say that share is fully priced.
Okay, what about Britannia, Mr. Tulsi, and what about the risk reward here?
See, actually, Anuj, what has happened in case of Britannia, that people have been consistently expecting that every quarter they will be posting the good numbers, and that is not the case. I agree what Sonia has said, that you have no complaint on the margin fronts and all that, but if you see the sequential growth of the company, because in case of FMCG you need to have a sequential view. You just can't say I will take a YOY. These companies always post the growth. So on a sequential basis, there has been disappointment, maybe on the margin or maybe on the volume front. And going forward, in fact, when you see the Patanjali, in fact, they are very aggressive now, coming in the biscuit segment, also having their Mari biscuit catching up very well. In fact, people are just talking of Dantkanti, but they don't talk of their biscuit segments also, which is catching very well. In fact, they have introduced Mari, they have introduced glucose, they have introduced Monaco, all sort of things. So yes, that is seen as the threat coming in, but still I would say that probably the stock is victim of the long liquidations and the profit booking, because the disappointment has come on the results in the form of flat numbers. But if it stocks corrects to a level of 2500, I think that qualifies a good entry point for the investors. Yeah.
Okay, so 2500 is a good entry point for investors. That's the word coming in on Britannia. Good numbers. Perhaps some long-term investors are already having a look into this stock post the good earnings. But in our big exclusive today, Ramesh Damani says that the monsoons will be the key for the markets, and the government is also moving in the right direction, which can lead to a ferocious bull market going ahead. Listen in.
In India, of course, the main leading factor would be the monsoon now. I think a good monsoon is now rapidly being priced into the market equation.
Okay, we'll see more of that conversation through the day, but for now, let's get back to market. Ashwini, a word on the Bank Nifty, where we've seen a 0.5% decline now, and from the high point there's quite a bit of slip.
See, from the high point, the high on Bank Nifty futures was about 16,620, and right now we are at 16,440 odd, so it's about 180 points. So this is a renewed bearishness. I would take fresh short positions and take them home. Similarly, on the Nifty, you almost have 90 points decline in the last 1 hour. So that is again renewed bearishness. So probably some sort of expansion is coming. So this is a good time to take short positions home.
Oh yes, in fact the Nifty has come off 90 points. Remember, 78.20 was the high of today, and now we are at sub 77.30. So quite a bit of losses actually in the last 1 hour itself. Lupin is the stock to look at right now. Look at the intraday chart of Lupin. After the big fall that it saw last week, the stock is down another 3% almost today, and there is significant amount of derating post the numbers that came in on Friday. Mayuresh, what do you do with a stock like Lupin? Because a lot of long-term investors hold on to Lupin, but now there are some concerns with respect to its Goa plant. There's uncertainty as far as a warning letter is concerned. Do you expect more derating here?
Well, yes, Sonia, I think the earnings estimates have been cut by most analysts on the street, prima facie, because of the commentary that has come through in terms of observation made on the Goa plant. So I think the uncertainty on what happens thereof, what happens in terms of the remediation issues is going to take a toll. What happens with the ANDA pipeline that Lupin has got, the approvals thereof, whether there are going to be any site transfers happening for that plant if need be. So I think all that uncertainty probably is taking a toll in terms of how earnings are expected to pan out. In our own sense, again, a couple of quarters back, our take was that earnings should be expected to grow anywhere between 15-16% odd. But again, I think that number has been revisited post the management commentary. And though they boast of a strong ANDA pipeline, they boast of strong OC sales expected to come through, the branded portion is a portion of their total sales expected to go up. Again, I think these uncertainties will hold the stock in check. So my own take is again that Lupin will underperform and it will consolidate at lower levels, at least for the next quarter or so. I think the management needs to come out with further clarity, at least in the next quarter's numbers, on what their pipeline and the roadmap is for the company in terms of both approvals coming through and what happens with their plants.
Okay, let's do one thing. We'll take a break with the news that the market is struggling, and the primary reason is HDFC. Again, pull out the intraday chart of HDFC, and that's really breaking down right now. Bank Nifty is also showing signs of breaking down, led by HDFC Bank and IndusInd Bank, but on the index, HDFC is the one which is contributing quite a bit. We'll take a break. Our closing bell money control question of the day is on ITC. Would you buy the stock after strong March quarter numbers? Log on to moneycontrol.com and post your responses, and post 3:30 we'll read the most interesting ones. Welcome back. Well, it's not been a good day for the bulls, because from the high point the market has broken down. Never a good sign. In fact, we are now at the low point of the day for all the major indices. Ashwini, BTST ideas, you'll go for sales?
It is a good time to have sell calls, because right now you can say it's a fresh breakout. So Just Dial is a sell with a stop of 715, target of 685. Dish TV is a sell with a stop of 94, target of 82. And Ajanta Pharma is a sell with a stop of 1520, target of 1460.
Okay, so all three sell calls coming in. The markets are the day's lows, and you have names like HDFC, Infosys and TCS that are dragging the market. So those are the three heavyweights that are responsible for the cut that we've seen in the last 10-15 minutes. Varinder is here with us to tell us about some of the buzzing stocks that he has observed as we head into the dying moments of trade. Varinder.
You know, some of the stocks that are breaking down in the last 10 or 15 minutes are the one which will be reporting results tomorrow, a day after. Look at Amara Raja at day's low. Tata Steel is one stock to watch out for, will report results day after, you know, so keep an eye on these stocks, could be important. Some of the results reaction, Harita City you've been mentioning about. On the positive side, you also have Ujas Energy, Mukund Limited, Somany Ceramics up 12%, Tata Metallics on upper circuit of 10%, Ugur Sugar, very solid numbers, Pasupati Acrylic, Eon Electric, TTK Prestige and Minda Industries, they all are doing well after reporting very good set of numbers. Among the results reaction on the negative side, look at Cox & Kings, that stock is down 16% after disappointing numbers. Welspun Corporation down over 10%, PT Lamination, Telbrus, Newland Labs, all these stocks not reported good set of numbers, and the market is clearly punishing them. Some of the mid-cap buzzers, Manapuna General Finance, that stock has gained over 30% since the company reported results, up over 10% today. Good year, some accumulation happening today in that stock. MCX up by nearly 6%, DB Realty, Praj Industries, Monsanto, you know, these are also the stocks to watch out for. Praj Industries, bad set of numbers, stock down, and Monsanto, after the royalty tug of war which is going on, that stock is down by nearly 6-7%. Small cap gainers, Weber Global, 7 Technologies, a new name which is Vipi Spin Pro, RS Software, Patel Engineering, Mangalam Timber, Gujarat Automotive, Vinyl Chemicals and ScanPoint Geomatics. This stock has been doing well since last few days.
All right, Varinder, thanks a lot for that. We must point out that HDFC, Infosys, TCS and Larsen & Toubro, these four stocks are dragging the Nifty by 25 points, but ITC is compensating all 25 of them, and still the market is down about 25 points. Tells you the inherent weakness of today's trade. Mr. Tulsian, just one more word before we move on sugar. Today we had this news about the government looking at import duty angle because the prices have surged a bit too much for the comfort. Do you see this acting as a bit of a speed breaker for the sugar rally?
See, Anuj, let me just explain you little, economics on this front, because whenever we get this type of news, we just, perceive that, oh, this is very negative because imports will start coming in. Because if you go by the white sugar prices, which have been rolling now in the international market, is at $485 per ton. And now if you come on the raw sugar, it is 17 cents per pound. So the effectively white sugar costs you 32 rupees 50 paise per kg. Raw sugar costs you 25 rupees per kg. Now raw sugar can only get processed when the season is on. I can understand in case of Tamil Nadu, but again I don't think that in the next maybe 4 months the Tamil Nadu will be producing more than 2 lakh bags of sugar. So that this kind of things firstly is not viable. Now let's understand that the white sugar import duty is at 40%. Even if government makes it zero, there is no viability, there is no question of any import coming in, because in the domestic market the mills are selling at 33 to 34 rupees or maybe 32 to 34. Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra are selling at 32 rupees ex mill, UP is selling 34 rupees ex mill. So I don't understand, merely on this news, the things can become negative for the sugar companies. That is number one. Number two, suppose for some reason, even if India starts importing 1 million ton of sugar, whether it is white or raw, you take it from me that the prices will further go up by maybe 5 to 10% in the international market. That means white can go to 35, 36. So I don't understand any logic that even if the import duty is made zero, raw there is already no import duty, but with a re-export obligation within next 3 years. That is number one. Number two, in fact, couple of days back or maybe last week there was news that export incentive has been slashed by the government, which was announced earlier of about 4 rupees per kg. Let's go again in the background that at that time sugar prices were ruling at 27 rupees per kg and the cost to the mills was 31 rupees per kg. So government was giving them an incentive of 4 rupees to clear the farmer dues. And now again, as I said, the situation has changed. So there is no impact of any negative impact of either removal of the export subsidy or slashing the import duty on the sugar, even if it gets imported, because both are just remains on the paper and now not likely to get implemented. Neither the sugar will get exported nor sugar will get imported. So I don't think that in any way this is seen negative for the domestic sugar makers, those who have been holding the stock. Yeah.
Okay, well, since we are talking a bit about commodities, let's also pull up some of the rice stocks, because our commodities editor Manisha Gupta tells us that rice prices have gained globally because all three Asian rice producers are facing lower output now, whether it's India, Vietnam or Thailand, and all these companies, the rice producers, Kohinoor Foods up 8% right now, and you have a couple of others like KRBL, LT Foods, etc. that are all bucking the trend today. So we'll get to that in a bit. We're actually getting to the end of trade. So let's squeeze in a couple of last questions. Mayuresh, I wanted to ask you about before that, Anand Tandon has also been sitting by with us. Anand, the market has been under pressure today, but by and large, we've seen a declining trend over the last few weeks. Do you expect that trend to continue?
Well, the market, as you said, is certainly showing signs of weakness. I think most of the existing themes have been played to death and the valuations are not supportive. New areas are coming up in terms of smaller sectors which are showing up some good numbers, but they are not in the index, so they are not likely to push the index up. So barring any accidents we see in the global markets, you'll see the market continuing to show a weakness in the frontline indices and more action outside.
Okay, Anand, what about the monsoon-related stocks or agri-related stocks? Do you think this is where there is some opportunity, considering that now we are getting a sense that this year we should have a good monsoon?
Well, the predictions have already taken these stocks up, and now we have to actually see the water really falling from the skies. Hopefully it will come on time. If the forecast gets further delayed, as it has already for a week, then obviously the monsoon factor also gets delayed further, and there will be greater nervousness in the market. But for now, I think the market has already priced in most of the monsoon-related stocks to perfection as well.
Okay, let's just do a quick recap of the day's action, and I tell you something, it's really volatile. I mean, the 200-point swing in 3 moves, not the Nifty band, but from the high to the low, then to the high and the low point. The Nifty had 3 swings in a total of 200 points. That was remarkable. ITC, of course, batted for the bulls, but a clutch of heavyweights led the losses. Let's talk about the stocks that led the market lower. ITC, of course, was your stock of the day. But in terms of losers, HDFC was the biggest drag on the index, down about 1.5%. TCS as well, down about 2%. Infosys was down 1.2%. Tata Motors and the DVR both were down. Larsen, of course, was down about 1%. Tata Steel down 2.5%. ONGC down 2.5%. Lupin, well, the derating continues for Lupin. In fact, it was the biggest Nifty loser, down about 3.5%. Aurobindo Pharma as well was down 2%. Bajaj Auto, Maruti Suzuki were other stocks with more than 1% losses. You could add an Axis Bank as well, where also we saw quite a bit of decline. In fact, the Bank Nifty, just pull out the intraday chart of Bank Nifty towards the end, there was a bit of a slam dunk that took place for the Bank Nifty. Apart from ITC, the stocks that supported the market today included Power Grid, that was up 2.5%. Bharti Infratel was up 2%, and stocks like ACC, Ambuja and Bharti Airtel were also higher. But the market breadth, well, that shifted decisively in favor of declines in day trade.
Oh yes, it did, and the market breadth ends with almost 1,000 stocks on the declining side. You know what? Today was about profit taking. People just wanted to take money off the table, which is not such a bad thing. I mean, you're heading into a Fed event, you're heading into more uncertainty, right? So gathering your profits is perhaps something that you can't rule out in this market. Look at the stocks. Britannia corrected about 10% post numbers. Dish TV corrected post numbers. These are good companies, given very good returns in the past many weeks and months. Now just some profit taking seen over there. Cox and Kings, Praj Industries, Just Dial also corrected post weak set of numbers coming in from some of them. You had good earnings come in from the likes of TTK Prestige, Somani Ceramics, Balaji Amines. So all these stocks ended well in the green. In fact, 4 to 6% gains on most of these names today. Apart from that, on the gainers list, the ones that bucked the trend, Power Grid up about 2.5%. Manappuram General Finance has hit a new high, so that one is up almost 10%. Crompton Greaves as well up about 1.5%, good going there. And Ashok Leyland ahead of its numbers this week, that stock is up almost about 0.5%. All in all, disappointing day for the bulls. The Nifty lost about 90 points from the highs of trade and ended with cuts of 0.3%.
You know, it's not the amount of cut which is important. It's the texture of the market, Sonia. It's telling you that at every higher level, the 200-day moving average is failing. I think that really stands out, the key for me. Every time the Nifty is going towards 7800, 7820, there's fresh selling which is coming in, which is not good sign.
Oh yes, not at all. In fact, let's get back to our guests. Mayuresh, I wanted to ask you about a couple of stocks that delivered good numbers today. There was TTK Prestige and there was Somani Ceramics. Do you like any of these names?
Again, Sonia, I think investors holding on should continue holding on to both the stocks. TTK is trying to expand its distribution network in the north of the country, and they're pretty successful in all their product ranges, whether that is cookware, cooking appliances, and so on and so forth. I think with new product appliances and ranges expected to come through, my own take is that the earnings growth should be quite reasonable for TTK. So anybody holding on should hold on to a stock like TTK Prestige. What happened with Somani probably again is on 2 counts. The fall in our LNG prices has basically reduced the power and fuel costs. The renegotiations that have probably happened will entail and ensure that the EBITDA margins hold out for Somani Ceramics. Again, I think the kind of anti-dumping duty that one really expects to come through and has come through, specifically in terms of the porcelain and the vitrified tiles, should have some amount of effect in terms of how volume growth pans out for the company. So clearly, I think if somebody holds on to both these stocks, continue holding on.
Okay, Mr. Hussain, a word on MCX if you're tracking this and the kind of move that it made today?
Anuj, I think the things are all building up, positive for the commodity exchange, because if you see the Castor, NCDX, action initiated by the SEBI, so that again goes favorable for the company, and introduction of new contract, unification of the equity and commodity, which is on top of the agenda of the SEBI, that will be seen quite positive for MCX, because they have a market share of 84% in the commodity. And in fact, if you see some news flows, which we have been hearing for last 12 months, that one foreign investor is looking to increase a stake in the company to about 15%. So all those things are, building a positive. So maybe today, because of that combination of the combined effect of that, but over a longer period of time, maybe for a couple of years, I think the stock looks quite promising. Yeah, one can expect a return of closer to about 20 to 24% on an annualized basis, with very minimal downside seen from here.
All right, gentlemen, we will let you guys go on that note. Thanks for joining us, and we'll wind down what has been a very volatile start to the week, I must say. And the index has closed in favor of the bears today. So the Sensex and the Nifty down about 0.3%. Money control question of the day.